Welcome to another pandemic edition of Barn Find Hunter. I'm Tom Cotter, and I'm in Hickory, North Carolina. Because it's the pandemic, I didn't want to start knocking on strangers' doors and asking them to put masks on or whatever. So I just emailed friends and said, hey, what do you have that's interesting? Because I got a crew coming down from northern Michigan, from Hagerty, to come and film episodes in the North Carolina area. A friend of mine, Tim Herman, owns Herman Walker. We're here to visit not because of a car that I found, but of a car that he found. I've been in his shop, and there's 4-cam Carreras and 550 Spiders, and I just sold that to the Porsche family. It's going back to Stuttgart. What? Are you kidding me? So they turn out the highest end Porsche restorations on 356 Porsches in the world here. Build 4-cam Carrera motors, that kind of thing. Anyway, if you're a Mopar guy, all this stuff just didn't make sense to you. But come on in and it'll make a little more sense by the time we leave here. So, mask on, we're gonna go meet Tim Herman. Tim Herman founded this building, I don't know how long ago, this business. You were a retired banker, weren't you?
Well, yes. I've had a short career of 12 years in that our bank sold out to a larger bank, and I had this to fall back on. And so we've been here almost 48 years.
48 years?
Yeah.
Man.
Nearly a half century.
So tell me, why is it that Hickory is known for two things, furniture and Porsches? What makes this place a Porsche place?
I'm asked that question many times. Like, what is it about Hickory? How can the pockets be so deep in that town? Just to what we know about the Porsche world out of Hickory, North Carolina. And having been in the banking business and working some demographics and so forth over the years, per capita, for instance, in the 70s, there were more billionaires here than there were in Beverly Hills, by far.
Man.
And
so wasn't there one moment where every Porsche 959 in North America was in this town?
Yes.
Jeez. Man.
A guy called me from the West Coast and said, have you ever seen one? And I said, I don't know, but would you like to see 6 of them tonight? So they're right here at the airport.
Jeez, amazing.
All it takes is your own plane with a big enough cargo area just to fly into Zuffenhausen and taxi them over here.
So you can see the cluttered, dirty, greasy shop that Tim is forced to work in. These motors, you could eat off them. These are standard 356 motors, right? They're push rod.
Yes, for the most part, that one you're looking at there is an SC motor, which would have been from the era of 1964, 1965. That was the top of the line engine.
How many horsepower?
That was rated at 95 horsepower. The SAE rating was 110.
Oh, wow. So you do everything in-house, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Recently on Facebook, Tim had a post. If you are somebody that wants to learn this business, he's got some openings. And do you have those openings still available?
Yes.
Oh, what do you need?
Well, I'd like to have 2 experienced body fabricators or, finished body men who can get a car ready after we do the metal work. And my cars are going to outlast me before I get them all done, unless I get some help.
Yeah.
So help me out here.
Well, show us some of these cars you've been talking about.
Yeah, well, sure.
So, all right, so what do we have here? These are fabulous. Well, that one is like a restoration.
Well, that was one of my cars. It was in my personal collection for years, and it just sat languishing in a warehouse for a long time. And beautiful color combination. It's called Bali Blue.
Yep.
With red interior. It's a rare color combination. Decided to put that car together, and it turned out very nicely. And so I finished it up, and now I have sold it to a good friend. Doing a little touch-up work on it now, and it'll be ready to release very soon.
For those who are watching and don't know much about Porsches, 356 started and ended when?
Well, the first car was built in 1948, actually built in Gmünd, Austria. Porsche had relocated their design bureau and works out in the country in Austria, where the Porsche family was originally from. They're actually Austrians, not Germans. I think there was like 47 or something like this. There's thought to be maybe 8 of them left in the world, and one of them is the barn find that we're going to look at in just a few minutes.
Can we go look at that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
You can see the cars that we have, but this is one of the barn finds. It's really our premier car at this time. It's the Glazer Cabriolet.
And who's working on this car?
And this is TC.
Oh,
TC Hart.
I'm a TC too.
What we're doing this morning is pre-fitting. Once we've got all the metal works done.
So that doesn't sound like Bondo.
No, I'm sorry to disappoint you not a bit. No. But we've got everything kind of banged into shape now, and so we're starting to pre-fit all the accessories.
So you're saying it's paint against raw metal. There's no plastic filler.
There's primer against metal.
Man. But this car was not rust-free.
No, it was almost broken in half.
Man. And this is what year?
1952.
52. So Porsche was 4 years old at the time.
Yeah.
The brand.
Yes.
So did you have to put floors in here and stuff?
Yes, everything.
How many hours you figure are invested in this body?
That number is so big it scares me, so let me just say a year. Every day.
Well,
5 days a week.
A person works about 2,000 hours a year.
Yeah, well, that's approaching.
About 2,000 hours. Did you have enough of the original to be able to use as a copy?
Yes, yes, and we still have work to do. But you know, we've got the doors hanging and shutting, and now we just got to tidy up the shut lines a little bit.
Yep.
They're very close, but that's the final work that we're starting to do now. We did have to put a nose on the car from here forward. Mm-hmm. We used the factory butt weld line to put it back.
Uh-huh.
So all the nose was recreated. This is what you call a body bumper car. The bumpers just fit right up in a butt to the body of the car, and then it has this nice little trim thing that we have to make that separates the body from the bumpers.
So the bumper was really an ornament. I mean, there was nothing structural about it.
Like most early cars, in the 50s and so forth, they were more ornamental than functional.
Yep, yep. So what do you think the production numbers on this car are, as far as how many they make?
Well, I think there was like 37, something like that, made in all, and there's anywhere between 6 and 8.
Now, did you say that?
That's the best I can determine.
Did you say that at one point this car was $300?
Yes, it was $300 is what the gentleman I bought it from had invested in it. And I paid him a little more than that, but I was glad that I did. And,
What will the value of this car be?
Yeah, this car, because of the rarity, and there again, it's the right color. It's azure blue with a light beige leather interior, and it's gonna be a really outstanding car. And with it being a Glazer, and all those factors considered, the car will sell between 1.5 to 1.8 million.
That blows my mind.
It may not do that if I put it in the local Porsche Club magazine, but it will with the right venue, with the right players in the room.
That blows my mind.
So
Unbelievable that a $300 car can become $1.5 million car.
Yeah.
Man. All right, so I think you have another one here that has an interesting story.
yes, I do have another one. It's right out here in the fab shop.
Okay, so this is the one that you have an interesting story about.
Yeah, this car is a 1955 Porsche 356, commonly called a Pre-A. It was a barn find in that I stopped to look at a VW and saw an old Porsche in the barn. And so the young man says, you know, would you pay me a finder's fee? And I said, I love writing finder's fee checks. So he gave me a phone number and I took it from there. And he says, well, if you're interested in buying it, you got to take both of them. Well, come to find out, he had another coupe, a 55, that I also bought in a package deal. Now, Porsche, in 1955, It was a great name for a car, especially a sports car made in Germany. And it had a badge on the side called Continental, a very beautiful gold script, Continental. What a great name for these cars, but unfortunately Ford had already used it. Believe it or not, Ford took it personally and took legal action against Porsche for the use of the name. After 50 cars, Porsche destroyed the emblems and no more went on the cars. Now, this is one of the cars that's surviving, but it's just a handful of cars left. Tom, here are the original holes for the Continental emblem.
And you have those emblems?
Yes. I have a new old stock set.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Are they made of brass?
Brass and gold plated.
So I'm looking, you know, there's some crunchiness going on here.
Oh, yeah.
And then down underneath here,
Yeah, it's pretty crispy.
that would scare the willies out of me.
Yeah.
But tell me what you'll do to this car.
That's just all in a day's work. Well, first of all, we'll have somebody come and media blast it.
With what
back here.
what media?
Well, on the 52 Glazer body cabriolet, we had baking soda, and I should just say soda. This one will probably do the same, but I'm thinking maybe save a little labor. We'll cut out all the rust and the floors and everything first.
Do you cut it out with a Zoots wheel or?
Yeah, just you know, cut off wheels, whatever we need to get to any hidden areas, just to get it all cut out. Then we'll just get all the metal as clean as we possibly can, and start welding our new metal in.
So this doesn't scare you at all. I mean, you've done this.
Oh no, this car was the same way.
Is that right?
That chassis is already.
So in other words,
that's all been done.
This was the same as this.
Oh yes, yes.
I got it.
So the floors, everything in that car's been done structurally. We're starting on the body now, the outer skin.
So will this be another year invested in this body?
Yes.
How old are you?
Yeah. 72.
Really? No slowing down.
Well, I'm just having too much fun.
I mean, you know, that's amazing. You've been doing this for 49 years and you're still loving every day.
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So Tim, all the hours you put in this car, years, I guess. What will the value of this car be? 1955 Porsche Continental Cabriolet. What will the value of that be when it's done?
This car finished being it is, you know, a provable Continental with all the provenance and everything that goes with it, and it has its original engine, everything original, gearbox, and all that, and our level of restoration. Plus, as you know, color combinations mean a lot, up to 20-25% of the value, and sometimes even more. Wow. And this car was in the extremely rare color of pearl gray. It is a light grayish beige with a lavender tint to it.
Oh man.
With a blue top and a blue interior.
I got to see this when it's done.
It's going to be just an absolutely outstanding car. I expect this car is going to bring, you know, in the neighborhood of 400 plus, and maybe even more because of the quality of the restoration and just the rarity of the car, and then the color combination is just killer. So
what Tim didn't tell you is that he doesn't like just buy parts from a catalog and put them in these cars. He'll restore these seats, believe it or not. Are these for this car?
Yes.
Man. Tim, I want to thank you for making our pandemic edition of Barn Find Hunter possible, because, you know, I was able to call you and you said, yep, I've got some cool stories here.
It's good to be adaptable, isn't it?
Sir, thank you very much. That was an amazing stop, I think you'll agree. And we all learned something about Porsches. And I told you that Hickory is this kind of the center for Porsches. I mean, just a few miles from here, the Mark Donohue 917 Porsche Sunoco car, race car, the most outrageous race car in the Can-Am series, it lived just a few miles from here. To go to our next Porsche location, we only have to walk 50 feet, where Tim does full restorations on Porsches. JTS Motorsports does maintenance and repair on Porsches. brake jobs, oil changes, tune-ups, tire rotations. So he's got this little, combination of businesses here that complement each other. So inside's a bunch of nice Porsches in there, and they work on those. But thinking of you, I was attracted to this out here. This is a 924. It was a Porsche that had lots of Audi components in it. I think the engine's probably Audi sourced. This is in pretty rough shape. You can look at this window here, and I guess water leaks in the door, so there's just putty on here. This car is trashed, but I'm told it runs. And I'm told for $500, this car could be bought. Well, it's never going to be worth what that Laser Cabriolet is worth in there, 1.5 million. But this is an entry-level Porsche. And if you only have $500 to spend on a project car, these are around the country. They're completely ignored. People don't look at them anymore. And they're pretty darn good cars. You can get parts for them in junkyards still. So, if you want to own the ugliest Porsche in the world, here's your opportunity to do that. It's funny, in the town of Hickory, who would think, a furniture town like Hickory, North Carolina would have so many Porsches, but, here's another one. A 944, no title, kind of ugly, $1,000. It had been painted and parked outside the body shop, waiting to be paid, and it sat there for 25 years. The customer never picked it up. This is what a paint job looks like 25 years old, having sat outside.